Hello friends, it's Terry with Terry's Mailbox, getting in the holiday spirit with the Holiday Stampers Anonymous stamp release, which I just fell in love with. So I ended up using a bunch of the different stamp sets. So this one's Cozy Christmas. I love those images there and all of the sentiments. This one is holiday things. This one is an older stamp that I ended up using for some backgrounds that you'll see. This one is Watercolor 2. It's part of the new release. And this one here is Bold Tidings Mini, which I used on several things. So we're going to start off with the Cozy Christmas set. And you can see I ended up making 3 different tags. So I'm going to walk you through 2 of them. So here's that Cozy Christmas. With those great images, the gnome and the snowman, and then all those wonderful, wonderful little sentiments. So I'm pulling out my Misty here and getting my watercolor tag. These were cut out of watercolor paper using Tim's Tag Sizzix die cut. Love that thing. I use it all the time. So again, I'm inking the gnome up with gray archival ink, making sure I get good coverage. I do have the little line at the bottom, but you'll see I cover that up in the end. I'll show you what I do with that. So then here I am doing the snowman too. I ended up doing a third one, I think, with the gnome, but again, it's in the photos, but I didn't walk you through it. It's just watercolored like the snowman is. So again, I pulled out my Distress Ink Reinker palette. I love this thing. I really love the Distress colors, and I'm real familiar with them because I use them all the time. So I just basically created a palette with some of my favorite Reinker colors, and then I used the Reinker marker tag type thing to mark which color was in which bin, because it is sometimes hard to tell. But again, here I am doing the blues, and then I added the reds, and now we're gonna add some green, and I decided to use Rustic Wilderness, which is one that I do not have in the palette yet. So again, I just kind of threw some on my craft mat, and you'll see I'm just gonna start coloring the evergreens and the holly leaves. So you can see how easy it is just to color right over those gray stamped images. It works very, very well. So then I added a little bit of peeled paint to the Rustic Wilderness to kind of get a little bit of a different hue. It's not much, but just a little bit different. So here I am, just still watercoloring away, having way too much. I love these images. I'm going to have to do some cards using these as well. I just think they're gorgeous. Fun. So then what I did is I grabbed a brown marker and ended up coloring in the branches that are a part of this set. I wanted that fine line, and I wanted them to be more accented, and then I also used a black one to do the buttons and his eyes and etc. So now I've grabbed a gold pen that I have, and I love this thing. It's new, and using that to just color over the ornaments to bring a little bit more attention to them. Very fun. So then I've stamped the sentiment, and now I've grabbed tumbled glass oxide ink pad and a blending tool, and I'm just smooshing it on there, adding the blue in the background. And then I did end up stamping it with the Music and Advert. It's CMS 358. I used the advertising section of it to stamp on the background. I mean, I just felt like after I got done, once I had done the splatters, and that it just needed something else in the background. And I find myself reaching for font type of stamps, wordy stamps, repeating type stamps, background stamps that I can use to really enhance it. So now I'm switching over to the Mr. Gnome, and you can see I'm not using distress watercolors here. I am actually painting this with acrylic paint. Tim did a video, I guess it was last Christmas actually, because I remember the Santa that he did. And again, just kind of painted in all the different segments with a lighter colored image and then stamped archival ink on top of it. So that's kind of what I'm working on. So moving over to the reds here. Little Santa needs a red suit. So again, I'm going to kind of work here. Get him on. Of course, I've got the candy cane and the berry. And you'll see that what I ended up doing with the berries, I felt like it needed to be a little bit of a darker red. So I ended up actually mixing black in with it after I was done when the doing his mittens and everything. So here I am kind of mixing up a darker red. And you can see I'm getting them all colored here. And then the last thing I ended up painting was that ornament, and I ended up painting it in salvage patina, which is, you know, I love turquoises. I'm a cool color girl, so really love the turquoise color. So I went ahead and painted that with salvage patina. And you'll see in the end, I ended up coming back and putting Blueprint Sketch on top of it because I watercolored the background and it got a little bit dark. So right now I'm going to go ahead and use black archival and stamp on top of it to really define all of the outlines for all of the different pieces. And you'll see I still have that line there, but in the end, what I ended up doing was covering it with a Sharpie. And there I watercolored the background. And I've moved on to adding snow at this point. So I'm using one of the snowflake pastes and the splatter stencil. I love this thing. It's just very, very fun for adding snow to your creations. So just kind of working it in all those spots. And then I did the other side as well. And so there's that part. And then I decided that I needed some more splatter. So I got out my Dina Wakley white gesso, sprayed it with a little bit of water, and just started splattering away. So I splattered a few of my other ones while I had the splatter out. But you'll see me kind of working here with this, adding more snow. I'm personally not a big snow fan, but the next two I worked on were using some of the background stencils, actually, the Christmas tree and the peppermint stripe ones. So you'll see here I just kind of grabbed my distress inks. This is Festive Berries. And I'm just kind of using this to do a background. So again, these stencils work really, really well for tags. I mean, they are the absolute perfect size to use as a background for for these tags. And again, this is also this is actually Cougar cardstock. I didn't use the watercolor for this one. So you'll see here I'm just really creating that nice, gorgeous peppermint stripe type looking background. And then I ended up stamping on it using some of the watercolor 2, and a sentiment from Cozy Christmas. And again, I don't take you through the entire thing, but just to kind of give you an idea what I did, and I'll show you that tag at the end. This is again the Rustic Wilderness, and using that tree tag, or tree stencil, and perfect size for tags. Just perfect. And on this one, I ended up grabbing some things from the holiday things. So I stamped the tree on there. And then I also stamped the elk on there. And again, I did end up double stamping the elk so that he would show up a little bit better. And then, of course, I used that tag die to cut it out. And then I pulled out some stickles and gave the tree some red ornaments. And then what I decided to do was to use a red tinsel embossing powder with one of those Bold Tidings mini sentiments. So here's my next set, and again, these used a fun background and Bold Tidings, the regular Bold Tidings, and then Bold Tidings Mini, along with Santa from the holiday things. So I stamped Santa on there first, and then I pulled a bunch of sentiments from the mini Bold Tidings Mini, and I just kind of lined them up around Santa. And so I'm stamping that again in Rustic Wilderness and Festive Berry on my mind. So kind of working here to create the stamp here in the center. Then I decided to use this stamp. This is actually, what's the name of it here? Sorry, I'm looking for Inventor 6. And so again, this is the Santa, kind of the blueprint, basically. So I ended up stamping it both on the background of the Santa and the greetings, and then also on this one, I used it as the background itself. Just fun, just too much fun. So then on this one, I did end up using the larger bold greetings sentiment. And this one is the joy to the world. And again, it was the one that fit the best, to be honest with you. So after I cut the tag out, I decided to to use this one. So this is Rustic Wilderness, and I did add clear embossing over it, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't get good adherence, so I had to go back and stamp it in Versamark and then add the clear embossing powder on top of that to get my best image. So this is my best image here. So again, I'll take you through all the tags. So there's my Santa, that is the acrylic, double stamped. Here's the watercolor with gray archival, the snowman. Here's the extra one that I didn't show. He's stamped with the music in the background. Here is the stenciled final stamp with the watercolor, bold watercolor, watercolor 2 stamps on top. And then here is the stencil. And you can see I've mounted these all onto other additional papers. And I stitched some of them. I thought that added a little bit of interest to it. So there's my joy to the world. And then here is Santa again with that stamp background that you saw for the joy to the world. And then here's one that I did. I've got to do a whole separate video on this one. This is using one of the snowflake stamps and then a die cut. So again, I'm presenting for the Funkie Junkie. This is the tag challenge, the holiday tag challenge. So again, it's Terry with Terry's Mailbox, and I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Blogger, and YouTube. I'd love to have you come subscribe and follow. Happy holidays.